Hey guys, it's Jack Cypher here. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Today we'll be doing a video on the worst villain in all of Naruto. Now, this is going to be continuing our Red Dawn series, and I'm not ashamed to admit that this video was the one I was least looking forward to doing. I absolutely love the Akatsuki, and reckon they're potentially the best villain group in all of fiction. I love every single member, except for Zetsu. I just can't get behind him at all, and this video is going to be going into why he's such a bad villain. However, we won't just be talking about Black Zetsu, we'll also be talking about his counterpart, White Zetsu as well, and what his role in the story is. So this video won't be totally negative. Interesting enough, Zetsu was actually seen pre-time skip, making him one of the very few Akatsuki that actually got an physical on-screen appearance. He has a very interesting character design. There's no getting around that. The black and white duality of him, with the Venus flytrap surrounding him, he looks like absolutely no one else in Naruto. It makes us as the reader kind of take a step back and be like, oh, what's this guy's story? It adds a level of mystery to his character that really just doesn't get delivered on later on in the show. Zetsu is essentially the spy of the Akatsuki, thanks to his abilities. His powers make it very easy for him to do reconnaissance and gather information. He also serves to get rid of evidence of the Akatsuki's deeds, like when he eats the two dead shinobi that the Akatsuki used for sacrifices to have Kisame and Itachi fight the Hidden Leaf Ninja. Now, I don't really know why he eats them. I believe it has something to do with him being a plant, and the corpses give him nutrients. However, I don't think it's ever fully explained. At least not in the series. I'm not sure if Kishimoto goes into it in an interview or in a data book or anything, but I don't think we ever fully understand why he eats them. Obito is the only one that knows their true nature, other than Madara, of course. Now, we all know what happens with Black Zetsu. It turns out they didn't truly know the nature of the creature that they were dealing with. But for the most part, they were the only ones that knew what was going on. Now, that's pretty much everything I'm going to say about the two connected together. From here on out, I'll be referring to them as White Zetsu and Black Zetsu. And before we get into why Black Zetsu is such a bad villain, we'll start positive and go over everything we know about White Zetsu and explain who he is and what he contributes to the story, as well as get into a little bit of his powers. Now, White Zetsu was originally one of the victims of Kaguya's infinite Tsukiyome, and was trapped in the Ghetto Mazo, the husk of the Ten Tails. Now, after Madara gained the Rinnegan, he summoned that Ghetto statue, and with that, and Madara also cultivating Hashirama cells, as well as a little bit of trickery from Black Zetsu was able to pull White Zetsu out of the statue. Madara believed them to be artificial beings created from Hashirama cells, having no idea that they were actually Kaguya's past victims. After the incident with Obito, White Zetsu and a White Zetsu spiral became friends with the young youth. It's here we see that White Zetsu is much more friendly and kinder than the sinister Black Zetsu. He seems to truly care about Obito and doesn't seem to be outwardly malicious. On the contrary, he was quite happy and playful. I believe he followed and went through with the Eye of the Moon plan, because like Obito and Madara, he thought this would be the best for mankind. Unlike his counterpart, he didn't want to revive some ancient alien or rule the world. He seemed to be a generally decent person, at least all things considered, for a dude that wanted to put the whole world in an illusion. White Zetsu tagged along with Sasuke when he infiltrated the Five Kage Summit. He was skilled enough to plant his spores on Sasuke, as well as the other individuals inside the building, which included the Five Kage, as well as powerful Jonin. When the spores activated, clones of himself would emerge and absorb the chakra of those that the spores were connected to. He could use these clones to absorb chakra to either give it to himself or give it to an ally to heal them, like he did with Sasuke. And since we're talking about his spores, we'll just quickly go into his abilities. Because of the Hashirama cells, he's able to use a much weaker version of the wood-style jutsu, and he can also transform himself and his clones into near-perfect copies of other individuals. So much so that he can use their jutsus, however, on a much weaker scale. This proved disastrous in the Fourth Great Shinobi War, where he would turn allies against each other and really inflicted a sense of paranoia on the allied forces. His main ability, though, was to transport himself through the ground to travel vast distances. While not as good as Obito's Kamui, it did prove to be incredibly fast, as well as prove to be a very useful tool as a spy. Now, White Zetsu, and even Black Zetsu for that matter, aren't frontline fighters. They're more of tricksters. They can hold their own, sure, but they would never be able to beat a truly powerful shinobi like a Kakashi or a Naruto, for instance. That's not their purpose. The White Zetsus, or the former victims of Kaguya's infinite Tsukuyomi, were the main fighting force of Obito in the Fourth Great Ninja War. And like we just mentioned, their powers were to clone themselves. This proved seriously effective in the battles, lowering their enemies' morale as they took the forms of their enemies' comrades. Because they weren't human, they could also survive without food, and thanks to Hashirama's DNA, they had a pretty good healing factor and could drain chakra by touching someone. They were essentially the foot soldiers of the whole war. However, by the end of the war, they were completely wiped out by the allied shinobi forces, and Sasuke himself killed a lot of them while he was testing out his new EMS that he had just gotten. But now, that's pretty much everything I kind of wanted to say about White Zetsu. He's not the main reason for this video, if we're being honest. But since we're doing a character analysis, I thought it was only right to include his side of it. But now, let's get into it, and I say that with a bit of dread. Black Zetsu is the worst villain in all of Naruto, and I don't think that's a controversial take. Originally, we're led to believe that Black Zetsu is Madara's will incarnate, that Madara created him, and that he served Madara's purpose. But apparently, that's completely BS, and he's actually Kaguya's will. He's existed for thousands of years, and has manipulated the entire series. Hagoromo's son, Indra? Yeah, he manipulated him. What's that? The all-powerful Madara? Yeah, he manipulated him too. And this is the issue with him. He's come out of complete nowhere, and Kishimoto has made him pretty much the big bad of the whole series. Everything was a manipulation by him to restore his mother. And I think the main reason he's such a bad villain is because he just completely ruins it. I shouldn't say completely, but he's pretty much ruins the person that should have been the big bad of the whole show, Madara, making him seem like just a complete fool, that he was just a puppet of Black Zetsu. Now, there's a lot of controversy, I guess you could say, on if Kishimoto planned to do this with Black Zetsu from the beginning, and I very much doubt it. It did kind of seem like Madara was just too powerful, and that's why Kishimoto came up with this elaborate plan to have Black Zetsu be this main villain so he could strike Madara, the almighty god, down. But then, he just replaces him with an even more powerful villain, who logically speaking should have been more difficult to take down. It just doesn't make any sense at all. And it was completely needless. Kishimoto should have just had Black Zetsu be Madara's will, and then had Naruto and Sasuke, and even Kakashi and Sakura, if you want to throw them into it, take down Madara. And then that should have wrapped up the whole story. And if he wanted to add in the stuff about the Otsutsuki clan, he could have just done that in Boruto. Now, the problem isn't actually the characters like Kaguya and the rest of the Otosuki clan existing. The problem is with how they were handled. It would have been much better if they hinted at Kaguya in the war, which they did, talked about her existence and the role that she had being the sage's mother, and then Kishimoto should have introduced them fully in Boruto. Or even just continued Naruto and had Naruto still be the main protagonist again. You, you know what? I think I actually like that idea better than Boruto. Madara was just such a perfect villain for Naruto, and I don't think that's a hot take. Madara would be one of anime's fans' favorite villains of all time, so to see him get treated the way he did was such a slap in the face. It doesn't help that Black Zetsu isn't even this Machiavellian schemer who is in it for himself. He's literally just a puppet. He has no personality outside of being his mother's bitch, and that's the thing that I just don't get. It's known that Kishimoto killed off Madara this way because he wrote him to be so powerful that he didn't know how to kill him off. But like I was saying before, it doesn't make any sense that he replaces Madara with an even stronger character. Like I said before, he should have just had Naruto and Sasuke beat Madara. It actually makes me mad. Kishimoto just went down this path of introducing this absolutely horrible plot twist of Black Zetsu. And him being the big bad and reviving Kaguya, it just was so uninspired and seemed so disingenuous. Just thinking about it makes me feel how much I hated it when it happened. Now, I'm not going to get too much into Black Zetsu's personality or abilities, because his powers are similar to White Zetsu, and let's face it, the bloody wanker just didn't have any personality outside of being a puppet, like I mentioned above. And frankly speaking, if I talk any more about Black Zetsu, I think I'm just going to be in a bad mood for the rest of the day. I think you can all figure out the type of person that he was from what I've described of him. Now, as you can probably tell in my enthusiasm in this video, this wasn't a video that I was looking forward to making. If anything, I probably would have preferred not to have done it. But I wanted to do a video on each member of the Akatsuki, so I was forced to do this one. And I didn't want to leave it to last because then there was a chance I just never would have done it. So I wanted to get it out of the way, but do let me know down in the comments what you thought about it. If you agreed with my opinions, or hell, maybe you actually did like this sudden plot twist. And I would love to actually know your reasons for that down in the comments. Also, let me know down in the comments what you thought of White Zetsu. I thought he was a pretty fun and enjoyable character, all things considered. Now, I don't expect this video to do very well in terms of views, but, let's see how it goes. But if you've made it this far, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've liked it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. But for right now, I've been Jack Cypher. Cypher out.